Greetings and welcome to another powerful edition of the Community Defender Talk Show.
Senator, I'm going to direct this next
Hour
question.
of truth, working hard to dispel falsehood. I'm your host, Brother Daryl Muhammad.
And I'm Sister Deborah Muhammad. Welcome to the Community Defender Talk Show.
And of course, we have a wonderful show planned for you. We're going to be dealing with and we're going to be taking our inspiration from the Final Call newspaper. And the title of the Final Call newspaper is American Insecurity. Of course, we're dealing with an insecure America, an America that doesn't feel good about itself. And this America is, instead of reacting with common sense, it is reacting with violence and with hatred, even as common sense solutions to problems can easily be put forth. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, God's man on the straight path, has laid out some things that America could do to solve many of its problems.
Right.
And one of the problems that America can solve is what has been going on with people who have been misguided, misdirected, and robbed of the knowledge of themselves and their God in this land since 1555. We're looking at 463 years. This problem must be addressed from the standpoint of justice. Now, that is the basis of America's problems. Blaming the Mexicans is not going to solve it. Giving a tax cut to the richest 1% is not going to help the deficit. And so now you see, many of you should see that you were absolutely lied to with respect to Donald Trump. And you can't really call yourself a democracy when the one that loses by 3 million votes becomes the president.
Right.
Okay, so the idea that America is a democracy, you lost by 3 million votes, and the one who got the most votes is not even the president.
Right.
So there's a significant problem, and I don't think that it can be solved by what's been going on in the news today, and we're going to be getting into it. But again, tonight's topic is American insecurity, because evidently you feel insecure. Sister Deborah Muhammad.
Exactly. Of course, when someone tells lies, and I was going through the news feed the other day, and they had listed out the amount of lies that have been told by President Donald J. Trump. And I think it was like within a month's time or some short period of time. I'm sorry, I don't have the statistics. But the point is that whenever you tell lies, and whenever you are building your system on tricks and lies, the thing that you are most afraid of is the truth. And so when you tell the lie, you're actually insecure because the lie itself makes you insecure. And you mentioned about the president being not elected by the popular vote with this last election, but we should not forget when President George Bush was elected or selected by the Supreme Court when he lost Florida. And you remember a couple of years back, everyone was waiting to hear, who actually had become president. So, we know that the Supreme Court actually elected or selected that president. So you know for sure that we don't live in a democracy. So everything that America is supposedly standing for, is coming unraveled like a knitted blanket. And so, when it's becoming unraveled, what happens is that if you're under the blanket and you're naked, then of course people can see your shame, so to speak.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Now, I wanted to, of course, we did open with some remarks by the Republican Party challenger as well as Andrew Gillum, and just how poised he was in that Florida gubernatorial debate. We also want to mention Stacey Abrams of Georgia, who is ahead by about 1%, 1 or 2%. And so, of course, Gillum in Florida is ahead by 4 or 5 percentage points. So it's really going to be a turnout issue with respect to who wins. And so in a day where you have darker skinned people, original people, people with a righteous nature, reaching for the reins of power, and reaching for it not in a way that is arrogant or disparaging to anyone, but reaching for it with a promise of helping everyone, with a promise of loving every child, educating every child, and making sure that the infrastructure of the states that they're in serves all of the people. And so if we can look at just the way and manner that things occur. Now, I wanted to mention something also, because we've all seen clips of Donald Trump wanting people to be beat up who heckle him when he stands up there and lies. And I just wanted to clarify the wonderful and thoughtful analysis that you made, where you talked about all of the lies that Trump says. Well, they now have him at over 8,000 false and misleading statements since taking office. 8,000 false, misleading statements. They had him at 2,000 false and misleading statements during the campaign. So when you look at it, you're looking at 10,000 false or misleading statements between the campaign and the office. And it's interesting that that's exactly the number of fearless people that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan wanted to hit the streets to help to stop the violence in all of our community, in all of our communities here, because violence is the way to go. We got a president that is saying that if the Mexicans throw rocks, just mow them down with 50 caliber guns, you know. A president calling for the murder of really unarmed people with babies, and yet these people call themselves Christians. They call themselves a Christian nation that follows Jesus. No, when you can vote for and advocate Donald Trump, you are absolutely not following Jesus, but you have befriended Satan himself in what you are doing. Now, I wanted to mention these murderers. We're going to go ahead and mention them right quick. And as time goes on, we're going to offer some analysis, but some of this analysis we really are not going to be able to offer at this time. Now, we have Caesar Sayoc, who, of course, alleged to have sent bombs to former presidents. Imagine that. And he even sent a bomb reportedly to Aunt Maxine Waters. Now, you know she is the black America's auntie. That's right. She will soon be 80 years old, and she is one of the last of the great ladies in public service. She is a loving soul that to me is you know, you don't mess with Aunt Maxine. So she received a pipe bomb, and so you're looking at 13. I think we're up to 13 pipe bombs sent by this Trump supporter, a person who loves Donald Trump. So as they try to smear Minister Farrakhan, understand that the evil is being done not by followers of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, but by Trump supporters, right-wing Republicans. That's right. Are the ones perpetrating the violence. Then in the middle, of course, we had the Travis situation that happened at the synagogue. And of course, all human life is valuable, and of course that kind of violence should never be condoned by anybody who believes in a loving God. Then, of course, we have this crazy man who tried to get into a black church, and of course, his picture would be above my head, it would be below my head. He tried to get into a black church first, but the door was locked, and from what I understand, it was a man who told him to get away, and he left. When challenged, he left, and then he goes into a Kroger, supposedly hunting black people, and then said, according to the video I saw, where he just said, "Hey, whites don't shoot whites." because everybody over there in Kentucky is strapped. You know, all those rednecks out there, they have tobacco in their mouth and a gun on their side, and that's how they roll. So gunfire was exchanged as he was leaving because they didn't know he was hunting black people. Once he said, look, whites don't shoot whites, he was free to leave. If you think about it, they didn't shoot him. Once he established, look, I'm here representing the white race, then he was free. That's when the gunfire actually stopped. So, okay, you're here to kill Negroes. Okay, cool. So he leaves, and of course the police later apprehend him. Now, all of these people love Donald Trump, not Minister Farrakhan. These are the people who love Trump. Let's get that straight. Let's get that straight. And so I just want to say that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is a loving man, a man who loves the people of God and who intends to continue to deliver a message of truth that will raise our people up. And for those of you who would just listen, just go on YouTube and listen to a video of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, and you will see love in action. Okay, love in action. Now, is he bold? Yes, love is a bold thing. You know, there were some children, Sister Deborah, some 30 years ago that were burning inside of a house. And a mother pulled up to the house and she heard her child. She threw the fireman and threw the police officer out of the way and went upstairs and came back down with 2nd and 3rd degree burns with her children wrapped in a blanket. You understand me? Love casts out fear. And we see it with the other mama who turned over a good time van, broke the glass, and got her children out of a car that was on fire. When there's a pure love, fear goes out of the window. And that's why all of us, we need to purify our love so we won't be so scary in the face of the enemy. Now, keep in mind, none of these people, as said in the editorial of the Final Call newspaper, none of these people are black folk. They're all are white folks. So as we talk about Mexicans, it seems to me that none of these men are Mexicans that are now Donald Trump wants to send 15,000 troops to the border. He already has 3,000 or 4,000, and none of these people have sent pipe bombs to government officials.
That's right.
I just want you to understand the stupidity of the administration that most of you who are watching me voted for. You voted for stupidity because you were guided by hate, and you thought that he would make America white again, and that is why he is catering to your hatred by saying just before the election, we're going to send all these troops. Do you know he's sending 4 troops, 4 soldiers for every 1 migrant, and they're a month away, they're a month walk away. So he's sending 4 soldiers, and all of this is sensationalized, so that you can do that. Now, go on over there to Georgia, because these wicked demons are everywhere, and they're doing. The Secretary of State who's running for governor threw out 34,000 black votes. Talking about the address don't match. And then they threw out some more and the signatures don't match. These rednecks at the polls who are not handwriting experts are not qualified to say the signatures don't match. They are trying to rig the election against a woman who's 1 or 2 points ahead in the state of Georgia. They never play fair.
But not only that, the man that she's running against actually is over the
election.
Yes, the commissioner.
Yeah, he's the Secretary of State running the election that he's actually in. Talk about a conflict of interest.
And he should have recused himself.
He should have resigned from that when he ran for governor. Now, keep in mind, the sister is ahead in the polls by 2 percentage points. We want to say that Oprah has come to Georgia. I don't know if we got, and Barack Obama has come. And I just want to say that both of them, but are doing what they believe is best for the country. They're not motivated by money, because if the tax cuts get repealed, they're going to pay more taxes. I don't agree with everything they've said. I don't agree with every conclusion that Oprah and Barack have come to. But I admire the fact that they are not ill-intentioned in what they're doing. The other people are ill-intentioned. They're trying to preserve wealth for the greedy. They are trying to cut Medicaid, cut Medicare, so that they can let your grandmama die and not get the care she needs, so they can give that tax cut to a wealthy billionaire. And that, to me, is wrong. And then you want people to go to war in Iran and steal the oil and give the oil back to the billionaire. Meanwhile, leaving America with $1 trillion a year annual deficit. And right now, Sister Deborah, America is paying $523 billion just in interest on the debt. Do you hear me? $523 billion just to service the present debt. And they want to call us crazy here at the Community Defender. Oh, no, you crazy. Because you got yourself, we worked for 400 years for free, and mostly free. And you mean to tell me we built up with our blood, sweat, and tears the wealthiest nation on earth through our slave labor, and these bastards in government have squandered everything we worked for. Not everything you worked for, but everything we worked for as black people. And now the thing is $20 trillion in debt with the wicked, arrogant people in control of it. Really? And you want to talk about black people being the problem? I think not. Let's go ahead and take this caller. Go ahead, caller. You on air with the Community Defender.
Good evening, Brother Daryl, Sister Deborah. Great to see you guys back on the air. Listen, I got something I got to get off my chest. And like I said earlier, I want to call you guys and get y'all analysis on this. Two things, Brother Daryl. First of all, and you mentioned this earlier in my opening monologue about how a lot of the so-called candidates around the country are calling themselves Christians. Well, you know, we got a couple of them over here, Trump lovers, in Louisiana. One of them is the person running for one of the congressional districts, the Alexander Shreveport area, Ralph Abraham. And you watch his commercials, he say he's a Christian, he got conservative values. You know, what in the hell that is, and he loves Donald Trump. And that's the problem. And then we got one down here in the 3rd Congressional District, which is Clay Higgins. Basically, he's taking a page out of Brian Kemp, the one who's running Stacey Abrams in Georgia, where Brian Kemp sitting in front of a pickup truck with his long rifle, saying he's going to round up all the illegal immigrants, and he's going to do whatever he chooses to do to set things straight, and calls himself, again, a Christian. Well, we got Clay Higgins. This time he has his police uniform on, which when he was the Crime Stoppers in St. Andrews Parish, and he has his hand on his gun, his side-arm pistol, and he's saying that he wants to Christian value our country, and he wants to take back America, and so forth. And he calls himself a Christian. Now, I ask you, Brother Daryl, if a black man such as Cleo Field was to do a campaign commercial with his sidearm on the side of him saying he wants to take back his country, there would be such an uproar, and Brother Daryl would be saying, "Brother, we got to go get old Cleo Field because they're about to mention because he had his gun in a TV commercial." So I want to get your analysis on that. And the other thing is, Sister Deborah, what do we do after this election? What do black folks do if we don't get the ones who support control of the Congress to say, put a Congress in that might or might not impeach the fool in office? What happens if we don't get the people elected in Georgia or Florida? What do black folks do after that? You know, we still going to be in the same position whether we get those people in office or not. So I'd like to get you guys' opinion on that. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, you know, there's always been a double standard. It's always been viewed that when a white male has a sidearm, that, it's viewed as strength, so on and so forth. But when the Black Panthers had their weapons, when when the new Black Panther Party rolls through with their rifles, is looked upon differently. And when the old Black Panther Party, Ronald Reagan, who is the conservative icon and idol of all Republicans, said there's no need to be walking the streets of this state with a weapon. When it came to black people with a weapon, white folks don't like that. We don't need weapons like that.
That's right.
But when it comes to them, if they want a 50 caliber machine gun, oh, it's just for hunting. There's always been and always will be a double standard.
Well, I want to go back to the title, American
Insecurity.
Insecurity. And really the root of that is not just, just about sending a message, about their strength. On the flip side, on the converse, as Brother Daryl was saying, that there's a double standard, but the double standard is not because, they don't want black people to show strength. They really are insecure because the moment that they figure out that black people wake up, they are afraid that we would do to them what they have done to us. And that really, the root of that is their insecurity more than it is about them not wanting black males or black people to show strength. Is that once again, when you've done people wrong, you always have to look over your back. And so that's the thing that they don't want to ever, that thought ever to come in someone's mind. Okay, Nat Turner, what did they do? Did they kill him on the spot? No, they arrested him and put him on trial because he showed strength, and they don't ever want to show or make someone into a martyr for, standing up like that. So they know, because, when you're insecure, when you think that somebody may come against you, you want to make sure that, you don't allow that image to propagate.
Without a doubt. Now, the caller asked this question, which I want to get into, and what should black folks do? Because the bottom line of it is, they may steal the election from Gillum in Florida, as they stole the presidential election in 2000. They may steal, and they're really working hard to steal the election in Georgia, because they just came out and said the Democratic Party is under investigation by the Secretary of State for alleged cyber hacking. So they're coming out
By the who?
By the Georgia Democratic Party.
You said by the Secretary.
Secretary of State.
Now, who is the Secretary of
the
State?
The one
of
who's
Georgia?
running against her. So the bottom line of it is the crookedness continues, and he announces this over the weekend.
That's crazy.
But keep in mind, these people, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, have you ever seen a man with no good in him? Okay, we are dealing with a situation where Sister Abrams is running against a man with no good in him, and Ron Gillum is running against a wicked liar with no good in it.
But once again,
and
going
that's
back
what we're
to
dealing
Florida.
with.
Now, you said they may steal the election. Now, we know a presidential election where all eyes are on the presidential election. They literally stole it,
But here's the thing. Because people are watching it, they're going to try to throw out some votes. But the reason I say that is because you're looking at a situation and a circumstance where, as Ron said, you have to have more votes than what fraud can actually. So if they throw out 80,000, that means you got to have 100,000 to cover the 80,000 that were lost. And Ron Gillum made that point, Andrew Gillum made that point in some of his remarks that there is going to be fraud, but the turnout has to overcome the fraud that the Republicans or the Reclanicans are going to try to put out there.
Now, the other part of it is that what can we do if, they do steal the election?
Or if they don't.
If they don't.
Because what we should do is the same thing, and that's unify.
That's right.
Because both parties, Democrat and Republican, are controlled by people who don't look like you and me.
That's right.
That's just the bottom line.
And that's the bottom line. So to the caller, to the caller who called before, I mean, you know, we have to do something for ourselves, as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has taught us, or suffer the consequences. Period. This is somebody else's ball game. So, you know, we can't make the rules to this game. We have to play by the rules that have been established. So what I say is that we get our own game.
And those rules change all the time, as you see in Georgia with them announcing an investigation into cyber
right.
fraud by the Democratic Party, trying to pick up on the theme of Hillary Clinton's emails to turn out their base, and trying to replicate that in the state of Florida. And so it's amazing, the unmitigated gall, the low life way that people roll.
Where's the Attorney General? Where's somebody who would stand up
You
and
ain't gonna
say
get,
something?
as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said years ago, he said the black man can't get no justice in the lily white courts of America. And that, I mean, he said that, and in 2018, he said that in the 60s, and in 2018, it still rings true. Now, we have a caller. Caller, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, you had a question or comment? Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Sister Deborah and Brother Daryl. Hey, look, you guys are right on point like always, you know, to bring the truth out to the people that need to hear the truth. You know, Brother Daryl, you know, I have been a big follower of Elijah Muhammad. Like I say, I read some books that he have wrote, Eat to Live, you know, the things that we need to know. But a lot of us are afraid to let go of the European education that have been hoodwinking and bamboozling us for years, you know. And the thing of it is, we may not like the electoral process, but guess what? It is what it is. And until we join that process and come to win, like all our sports activities, you know, they let us in, and we have over-proven ourselves that we could be a part of the sport athletic process. The NFL, I don't care what it is, we always have jumped up in front. You know, the thing of it is, I don't understand, we are not willing to support our own when it comes to these elected positions. You know, if we have our own in these elected positions, we know what's going on. But some of us become Uncle Tom, Nanny Tom in the process. And that's not the good thing, you know. But the good thing is, if we go out and support the people that's going to stand up with us, excuse me, we'll be in a better position than we're in today. You know, and, you know, they got people running for Congress, and we're thinking that the black dignitaries are thinking that these people are going to be better for us than we are for ourselves. You got black people running for Congress, you understand me, and we are not willing to support our own because we're too busy thinking that Mighty Whitey gonna do for us that what we should be doing for ourselves. And if we put the right people in office, you understand me, that's gonna look out for us, that's gonna speak up for us, that's gonna stay alive with us, well, we might get somewhere. But until then, you know, we're in a situation that we're fighting against ourselves. And I thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to talk to you guys, because I know as long as you guys keep waking up the community, it may not be 100, but whatever percentage of us wake up and understand, we got to stand up and be men and women like you guys are doing. You know, we might get somewhere, but until then, we are falling in the cracks in the I thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, sir, and we definitely appreciate your insightful call. The thing I'm going to say is this. I'm going to vote in the midterm elections. I'm going to vote to have unanimous juries, which will mitigate some of the railroading that occurs. But the ultimate solution to all of our problems is us. And when we are unified, we'll be able to control no matter the politicians. Exxon, Chevron, these companies have the ability to control Democrats as well as Republicans because they have the money, they have the power, and through unity, our power, through unity, will allow us to control whoever is in there, because it is that kind of power that moves politicians. So our economic prowess will occur when we unify. And no matter who is in office, as we found out with Barack Obama, we still got to be together. They're only going to serve 2 terms. But our problems are going to extend, and the issues and concerns we have are going to extend beyond those terms. As Barack Obama said in Michigan, I couldn't get everything done in 8 years. I mean, he basically laid out that, hey, I did what I could, but I couldn't do it all. And he said we really couldn't do a lot once we had a Republican Congress, because they stopped everything we tried to do. He said that. So you're looking at a man who admitted that really the first 2 years of his administration were the only 2 real productive years. After that, the Republicans shut everything else down. So we had six years of just war and gridlock after the first 2 years. And then you have people who don't want to expand Medicaid and do the right thing for the sick people in their state. We had Bobby Jindal, who refused to take $1 billion in an economically depraved state because he had an ideological difference with Obama, and our state was literally destroyed economically and fiscally so that he could position himself to make a presidential run that wound up not even working anyway. So, education has been cut due to his tax scheme. Medicaid was not expanded as it should have been. We live in a fat, cancer-ridden, diabetes, hypertension state. When you're in a state where you're near all of this petrochemical stuff, all this cancer, and you're fat, and you're smoking, you're chain smoking, you need some medical care just based upon your lifestyle. Hog cracklings and boudin balls do not yield good health. You may think it's a nice cultural Cajun thing, but that does not yield the kind of good health that you would need. So I wanted, so not expanding Medicaid and Medicare is absolutely stupid. It's free money. It's money that's going to help the people of your state.
Well,
Sister Deborah?
I just want to say for the record, Brother Daryl said he's voting in the midterm elections. I'm not. The last time I voted was for the first presidential election for Barack Obama. After the second term, I did not vote anymore because at that point I was disillusioned in the system, and I decided that I'm not anymore. So, some people feel like voting is going to change. Some people feel like voting is going to change, our condition, but I don't. I don't believe that we're going to legislate our way into making white people treat us right. And I just don't believe it. We've passed many, many laws, and we still see our children being shot down in the street. We still see people, sleeping, being harassed while they're sleeping, in the dormitories. I mean, it doesn't even matter. And I just don't believe legislation is going to change that. And until we come together and unify as a people, then, we're really not going to get the justice that we deserve. And so for me, voting is not something that I choose to do anymore.
Well, and like I say, I can respect that. That, of course, is, a choice that, is cool to make. because I can't really speak for it because, again, like I said, both major parties are controlled by people who don't look like us. And while you can mitigate some things through voting and maybe 5% of what goes on, but the other 95%, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, our unity will solve 90% of our problems. He didn't say that the Democratic Party would solve 90% of our problems. It's our unity. So I acknowledge that even as I do vote, I acknowledge the significant limitations that voting brings. Now, there's a Greek letter fraternity called Alpha Phi Alpha, and it's the first collegiate brotherhood established in 1906 at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, where there were a group of men who had a literary society that they evolved into a fraternity, and they were in a hostile environment academically, suffering from racism. And understand that this was on the heels of what we call the Niagara movement. But because black people couldn't organize inside of the country for our own uplift, it was illegal for us to come together. People went to Niagara Falls, Canada. And so on the heels of that, this brotherhood is formed called Alpha Phi Alpha. Now, the thing is that the motto of Alpha Phi Alpha is, the political motto is, a voteless people is a hopeless people. I would have to say, and again, with great deference and respect to all of my frat brothers, Thurgood Marshall, MLK, Morial, all of the greats that have come through Alpha Phi Alpha, we have to unify as a people for the vote to have power. Understand that without our unity, it's like you are nullifying the actual vote. Because once Barack Obama got in, a disunified people caused a Republican majority to come right behind it and shut down everything that he did or would try to do. So without unity, the goodness of your vote ends up dissolving anyway. So that is the first step, because the Asians don't really vote. The Arabs don't really vote, but they have more money and they're able to send their children to the best schools because they are a unified community that does business with themselves. And that's just the bottom line. Let me go ahead and take this call. Go ahead, caller.
They were on already.
Okay.
Just press it again.
Are you there? Are you there, caller? Okay. I guess not. Let me try it another one. Go ahead, caller. Are you there?
Yeah, how you doing?
Doing good, brother. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing, Sister Daryl?
I'm doing well. And you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I just wanted to say that I had a chance to get my yesterday. I had a chance to get a final call newspaper. A gentleman was, he was passing them out, and it was going pretty quick. So, you always have to be there on time to get them because he goes so fast. Yeah. And but I was happy enough. I got mine.
Yeah.
Just want to ask the question. A lot of the immigrants that's trying to come here are like black and Latinos, and the Trump administration, they hell bent, and on having them not even having an opportunity to come into the country. I just wanted to ask if do you think that they pretty much focus on that because they want black and Latinos to be like a permanent minority in the country?
Well, absolutely. They're trying to stem the tide of the natural demographic change that is occurring in no more than 25 years. Okay, which the life expectancy I have, I will live to see white people become the minority in America. Okay, that America will become in 15 to 25 years a majority, what we call minority country, where most people in America will not be white folks. That alarms those who back Trump. They're trying to stop the Mexicans from coming in. They're talking about ending birthright citizenship, which Trump cannot do with executive order. He cannot do it, but he doesn't mind if somebody from Norway or Germany comes over here and has a baby. He even said we need more people from Norway. What was he saying? He was saying we need more white people to come over here and have babies. We need more Russians to come over here and have babies so that we can stem the tide of America becoming a country that is darker and less white. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air with the Community Defender.
Yes, it's such a powerful show. We really enjoy it. We got a house full watching the show. I wanted to say, Brother Daryl and Sister Deborah, you mentioned about vote yes for the unanimous grand jury. That was like a Jim Crow law, and we need to definitely change that. But what I really wanted to ask is that I've seen on the View the synagogue killing that the ladies on the View was talking about how Minister Louis Farrakhan, they brought him into the synagogue killing. And I can't understand why y'all continuously bring Minister Farrakhan on. Is he guilty by association? You don't even know them. Opinion of several different big time topics. Thank you.
Well, the thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to, I guess, limit my remarks to the wonderful character of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan, appreciates the goodness of all faiths, and he said so. His primary focus, however, is the resurrection and rise of the black man in America. He shouldn't have to apologize for that. Now, in 1984, there was a man who ran for president named Jesse Jackson. I'm going to give you the history. This man ran for president, and he asked for Minister Farrakhan to help him. As you know, Jesse Jackson in 1984, and some of you weren't even alive then, was under death threat on a constant basis for being a real candidate for the Democratic nomination for president. And so there was a Uncle Tom, a journalist, who mentioned, when he mentioned the word Town, which some Jews call New York and Jewish areas Town. Now, when that happened, it went crazy. But now, as you find out in the debate, I'm going to have to cut this ringer down right quick. As you find out in the debate that occurred, there was a man with a Jewish surname who called Barack Obama a Muslim N-word. Okay, Horowitz is a Jewish surname. So you got Jewish folks calling Barack Obama a Muslim N-word and not even pronouncing the word correctly. That's how you know they don't know what they're talking about, because we're not Muslims, we're Muslims. It's an S sound. But just to keep on and to give you the history, Minister Farrakhan provided Jesse Jackson with 24-hour security of the Fruit of Islam to protect his life before the Secret Service, which is their job, took that job over. It was Farrakhan that protected Jesse Jackson. Now, when it became politically expedient, so he felt, because of the controversy with the Jews, with members of the Jewish community, who took out an ad in a major paper that said, "Ruin Jesse, ruin," when we were saying, "Run Jesse, run." Okay? And at a certain point, he disavowed the support of Minister Farrakhan and left Minister Farrakhan in a fight with the Jewish community since 1984. This thing has been going on for 34 years, that Minister Farrakhan has been in a dispute. Now, they refuse to openly debate Minister Farrakhan as to whether he's anti-Semitic or not. They don't want to deal with the fact, and he's put out by the research department 3 books. One called The Secret History of Secret Relationship of Blacks and Jews, Volume 1, and then Volume 2. There's a Volume 3 on the way out, and then Jews Selling Blacks. The bottom line of it is that Jewish persons were principally involved in the transatlantic slave trade.
That's right.
That doesn't mean that we can't have a dialogue. But what they want to do is, when white people who are not Muslims take certain actions, they want to bring the name of a good man whose followers have never been involved in these kind of actions into that situation. And a lot of the black leadership whose lives have been saved by the Honorable Louis Farrakhan have refused to come forth and speak up for the character of Minister Farrakhan. Minister Farrakhan is not involved in, nor does he condone terrorism. And in fact, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan gives hope to people who are hopeless. There have been people who have put a revolver in their mouth with the TV on.
That's right.
Saying, I'm going to end my life. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's television program comes on, and they end up joining the Nation of Islam, getting married, and having 5 children because they heard a word that redeemed their life. Now, nobody can say that they were about to blow their brains out and Trump came on. Nobody can say that they were about to blow their brains out and Jimmy Swaggart came on. Nobody can say that all of these haters who hate the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and who hate Muslims in general, that they came on, that Lindsey Graham came on and I was redeemed. That doesn't happen. The bottom line of it is the principal teller of truth in America is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and they will stop at nothing to disparage his reputation. They will try to mix him up in every bad thing that occurs, but the bottom line of it is we got Michael Richards on tape. We got Jewish comedian Michael Richards on tape at a comedy show who said 60 years ago, you would have been upside down with a fork in your ass. And then he said, this is a nigger. He said that, a Jewish man. But they want to lump the minister in with hate? No. They are spewing hatred like you wouldn't believe. And as the Holy Quran says, vehement hatred has already appeared out of their mouths, but what their hearts conceal is greater still. That is where we are right now.
That's right.
And for those of you who think it's just the Muslims, it's every black person. Because they do not like any non-white person. And they are doing everything they can. Let me tell you, Abraham Foxman, from what I heard, went overseas to Israel and told the Israelis, as they discussed the politics of America, said Minister Louis Farrakhan is the only leader, listen to me good, that black people have. And they were talking about isolating the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. They don't view any of these other people who are being paid by them,
That's right.
who are on their university campuses drawing a salary from them, making movies, drawing a salary from them. As one brother said, all of the rest of the leaders are in the system. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan is not owned by the system. He does not get anything from the system. We, those who believe in his message, make sure that he is taken care of.
That's right.
We are the ones. Therefore, he can be free. He can live well. He is not beholden to anybody but God Almighty. And that's the thing that they don't like about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So anybody that disparages the minister's name, if you hear it on the air locally, you call in and you talk about, can this person who's talking against the minister bring 2 million men together and not one fight break out? Ask them if they have the power to redeem human life like the Honorable Louis Farrakhan did. And I'm going to tell you about myself. I was a drunk who was a significant womanizer with no damn direction before I heard the minister, and it helped me to clean up my life, period. I know what it did for me, and I'm going to be like Lazarus. All I know is I was once blind, but now I see.
That's right.
And that's what I'm going to say. You know what I'm saying? For the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is above reproach. At this point, any criticism of Minister Farrakhan should not be allowed by nobody because he has given his life. He has survived 4 assassination attempts on his life that I know of since I've joined the Nation of Islam. And he has come through all of them, speaking stronger than ever and working harder than ever on behalf of all of our people. And he's the only man that African presidents call on a consistent
right.
basis
For
to
counsel.
ask what should they do for their country. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan. So the bottom line of it is, they know that he's the real leader for black people.
That's it.
And they don't want anybody real. They want somebody who's in their pocket.
That's right.
Everybody else is depending upon their enemies.
Yes, sir.
Huh? 3 minutes. Okay, let's go ahead and take this call right quick. Go ahead, caller.
Brother Daryl, Sister Deborah, I hate I had to call back, because you guys are fired up tonight. You guys are fired up in my spirit, in my wisdom of what's going on. But, right now I have to address this. We have an election that's going on right now. We have black folks that is running, that is well qualified to be in this race. But do you know, we have a lot of black green people, you understand me, that accept the green to do the election, then they try to accept a black man in office that's going to look out for us. We are coming up with all kind of excuses.
Well,
Everything.
look, brother, look. Yes, sir. You're absolutely right. We got about 2 minutes left. Thank you, my brother. And here's the thing. For those of you who see folks who are qualified and who love their people, my thing is, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, a good black politician should get the full backing of all of our people. That's a quote right from Message to the Black Man. So the thing about it is that without unity, it all goes for naught. All of our people must be unified for economics, for politics. Anything we want to do, we have to come together as a people to get it done. The bottom line of it is, we must fall in love with one another. And in so doing, we come into unity. We only have 3 minutes.
I know, but
Right.
that's a different call.
All right, well, let's see what they're doing. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, sir. I just want to say that what you're speaking about is great. Although the concern that I have is that, when a move is made, the other move that is going to be made is already thought about. So now that we're coming to more consciousness, my biggest concern is what is the next move of the other side? Since they know that we're much more conscious.
Well, the thing I would,
Genocide is what they have in their mind.
what they have in their mind is
Genocide.
the extermination of us. But the thing I'll say is, our unity will solve that. In other words, whatever problem we have, our unity will be the solution. It is the weapon that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said is more powerful than a nuclear bomb, which means it is the most powerful weapon on earth, is the unity of black people for the mutual good of one another.
That's right.
That is the solution.
And he said that a disorganized truth, or organized truth, is more powerful than a disorganized lie. So unity is so important. If we unify on the fact that we know that we're all that we have. But the other part of it is education. We have to get educated. We have to know what's going on.
Truly
we have
educated.
To truly educated. We have to understand the law of cause and effect. And when we start understanding the law of cause and effect, then we can more take control of our destinies and not be victims of circumstances. So that's what we need to do. But we know what's in their mind is the complete culling of the populations, of many of the populations of America.
The thing I would say is, everybody on every black station, or every station that caters to a black audience, the thing is, vote, vote, vote. But nobody is telling you on 107.3 or Q95.5 or any of these stations, they're not telling you to patronize a black business. They're telling you to get out and vote. In other words, they're telling you to support the Democrats. But what you got to do is support yourself by spending your dollars with yourself. They're not telling you to patronize a black business. They're telling you to go vote. and that's a one-day thing. Patronizing a black business is a everyday, and that has a greater effect on whether or not we can hire our young people and give them a job ourselves. So anyway, having said that, may God continue to bless each and every one of you as we greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum, and we'll be right back at you with another hard-hitting show.